Good morning. The Committee on Education and Child Development will now come to order. Today, we will be conducting a subject matter hearing to learn more about Alternative Schools Network, their programming and budget needs. We will begin by a roll call to establish quorum. Vice Chair Clay. Present. Alderman Yancey. Alderman Hall. Alderman Beal. Alderman Chico. Alderwoman Lee.
Present.
Alderman Quinn.
Here.
Alderwoman Gutierrez. Alderwoman Coleman.
Present.
Alderperson Fuentes.
Present.
Alderman Talaferro. Alderwoman Rodriguez Sanchez.
Here.
Alderman Gardner. Aldermans Yancey and Gutierrez have requested remote participation. Can I get
in Gardner?
a motion?
So moved.
So move. Oh, I'm sorry. So moved by Alderperson Fuentes. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Also for quorum, Alderman O'Shea.
Here.
Did I miss anybody?
Chairman Alderman Gardner's via Zoom.
So motion to add Alderman Gardner to remote.
So moved.
So moved by Alderperson Fuentes. All those in favor?
Aye.
At this time, we will begin the public comment. This period is limited to 30 minutes. Out of respect for everybody's time, each speaker is limited to 3 minutes.
So my name is Nancy Sosa. I am here on behalf of Association House, coming from Associated Bank. I'm one of the bankers there and just here to show how much Association House has done for me and my family, as well as the many other students that have attended and attend that school. I was able to take advantage of the resources and the staff there to be able to graduate the high school in 2019. Then I had my children cross the stage with me. They were able to go to school with me to attend the daycare downstairs called the FLP program. From there, I was recommended from my internship daycare colleague, Sarah Shupak, who's no longer at that at Association House. She recommended for me to join our BankWorks program because she saw in myself what I didn't see in myself, which was the willingness to succeed, the willingness to learn. And so from there, I was able to get hired into a financial institution through the free BankWorks program at Association House. From there, I am now a banker at Associated Bank, and I'm able to give back to my students that go to Association House, as well as to my community in regards to financial literacy. I'm able to help those that are going to be our future presidents, future secretaries, and future alder people. So thank everyone for listening to me today.
I'm coming from Olive Harvey Middle College, and I feel like we need more alternative schools only because Olive Harvey is really a safe place for us. We come, the teachers are welcoming, they love us, and they try to do everything possible to help us out when we need it, even through life experiences or anything, they're there to help. So I feel like alternative schools is a good school.
Thank you.
Good morning, and thank you for this opportunity. I am Dr. Myra Sampson. I am the founder, the CEO, and the principal of CCA Academy. CCA Academy was started in 1978, and we are celebrating 45 years of educating youth on the west side of Chicago. Thank you. Many of the schools that are campuses of what CCS, Youth Connection Charter School, began as community-based schools in the 70s and 80s to serve students that were dropouts, pushouts, and students who needed a smaller school environment. These schools today are 45 to 50 years old. In 1997, these schools came together under the YCCS umbrella. YCCS is one of the original 15 charters in Illinois. The mission of YCCS charter was and remain to be different It is to do what the schools know how to do best, to educate overage, underskilled, high-risk youth who need a small school to learn, to grow, and to thrive. And to educate, we have. In the first 20 years, 66% of CCA's graduates matriculated to four-year colleges. YCCS began competency-based education to guarantee that students were taught the standards and skills that they needed for lifelong learning. Over 90% of seniors graduate. YCCS has been a CPS Level 1 school each year, and 27,000 graduates can attest to change lives. YCCS is the charter. 2,600 students and 17 schools depend on its renewal. YCCS is a charter that serves the most vulnerable youth in the city. Help us keep doing what we do better than anyone else. Educate youth who need a different kind of school. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jasmine Harrington. I'm 17 years old and I'm a current student at CCA Academy. I previously attended Noble Ronick College Prep. I expected to graduate in 2025 and plan on attending Illinois State University in a nursing program after high school. CCA is different because it makes a schedule fit for you and your needs. It also helps students get on the right path in life by helping you figure out how to stay out of the streets. What I've learned from attending CCA is to take advantage of opportunities given to you and not to be naive by being less judgmental. I left my previous school because of my mental health problems and lack of attendance. I've stayed at CCA because I've gotten a chance to meet new people and have opportunities to help me to improve my life and have a better future for myself.
Thank you, Jasmine.
Good morning. My name is Crystal Williams, and I'm a proud 1995 graduate of CCA Academy. My parents and I chose CCA for its small, family-oriented environment, which mirrored my previous experience in a parochial school. At CCA, I received personalized support and engaged in enriching educational and cultural activities. This nurturing setting helped me find my identity and a sense of belonging. With the encouragement of CCA's dedicated staff and teachers, I pursued my dreams, earned a bachelor's of social work at Mississippi Valley State. I returned and worked at CCA for a year. Then I realized I needed more. I went to UIC Jane Addams College of Social Work and earned my master's in social work. I returned to CCA in 2003, and I obtained my master's in educational leadership from Northeastern. I currently serve as a director of student services and clinical social work at CCA Academy. Our motto is at CCA, everyone's job is to learn. Both students and staff are given opportunities to grow. Schools like CCA and other YCCS campuses are vital for students who thrive in a small, supportive environment. These schools nurture our emerging leaders by accommodating all students, no matter the barriers they face. Let's continue to support our youth by providing these essential services. CCA's philosophy is to punch holes in the darkness and change lives, one student, one family at a time. Along with YCCS, we are committed to spreading love and light to our future leaders and their families.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Miss Shalise Harvey,
Shalice. Oh, that's pretty.
and I am a graduate of Olive Harvey Middle College, class of 1999. And I'm currently in my 20th year as English instructor, post-secondary coordinator at Olive Harvey Middle College. So as you can see, Alternative School Networks, YCCS, and all of the charters under create leaders. Olive Harvey Middle College definitely changed my life. Before Olive Harvey, I was definitely on a downward spiral. My brother was one of the first graduates of Olive Harvey Middle College in 1987. And he said, you know what? I have a place for you. Olive Harvey Middle College, let's go try it out. Best decision ever. I live by the model of paying it forward. Olive Harvey Middle College was that family outside of the blood lineage that I needed and still is, because I'm still there 20 years later, paying it forward to these current scholars. It's not all about academics. It's about, number one, meeting them where they're at and getting them from good to greater. And that's what Alternative School Networks and YCCS does. Each campus, we all get our students from good to greater. And majority of the times we go from greater to greatest. Believe it. We have a lot of politicians. We have actors. We have huge names in education that all came from YCCS or Alternative School Networks. And you best believe that alternative, the word alternative, is not a bad thing when it comes to us at all. Alternative means there is another chance. You have another chance. You have another shot. And you're going to do your best with it, because guess what? The family that you're going to meet at that alternative school is going to make sure you go from good to great. So we ask, and Miss Jakaya Fulton is one of my scholars, right? Next week, she'll be graduating. So she's going to go from my scholar to my alumni sister, right? Isn't that amazing? It feels so good to graduate a class every year, because now I know that I had a part in creating the next generation of scholars. So please, we ask, do whatever you can to keep YCCS and ASN afloat. Thank you.
Good morning, alderwomen and aldermen, and thank you for serving on arguably the most important subcommittee in City Council. My name is Dr. Thomas Gattuso. I've been proudly the CEO in Sullivan House High School on Chicago's Great South Side for over 20 years. In 1985, Louis Sullivan, and I tell my students, if you've ever been on the architecture tour of Chicago, they'll mention him. Louis Sullivan's family donated to Sullivan House Child Welfare Agency, a local community agency, a building to start a school with 15 to 20 students. Students that were not in school, students who were at that time were called learning resource, which then became special ed and now became diverse learners. And served primarily that focus up until 1997, when we were approached by YCCS to be a part of a bigger organization with the same goals, the same ideals of serving at-risk students, serving students that are not happy where they are in high school, or in some cases, the high school wasn't happy with them, where they needed a place to go. They didn't want to get a GED. They wanted to live the high school experience. And YCCS was born. As you've heard, thousands of students have graduated who would not have graduated without YCCS. And who are those students? Well, you see many of them here today. You're going to hear many of them. You've already heard several of them. They're Chicago students. They're your students. They're our students. They're students that are still looking for education when, for whatever reason, they were denied it in their past. And YCCS and ASN are extremely successful in getting them to the point of coming into our school to graduation. ASN's wraparound services and programs, YCCS with so many things, SEL services, skill-based learning, 3+1, PBL. It goes on and on, flexible more than anything else. It goes on and on as far as what YCCS is able to do at all of their schools to get students to graduation. One of the unique things about our school and our charter is that we take any student, it doesn't matter what their background is. I don't even care about their background. I care about what you're going to do for me today, not what you did in the past. Whether it's discipline related, attendance related, grade related, that's our job to figure it out. At Sullivan House, our motto is, if students don't learn the way we teach, then we teach them the way they learn. And that really is a summary of what YCCS does on a grander scale. We don't let students go when they're in our charter. If a student is not successful at one school, we have 17 schools where we'll find a place for them to be successful at. However, that's kind of a
Time has
rarity.
expired, Dr. Thomas.
Okay. I want to say thank you again to everyone. Thank you to the students and alums that are here too.
Dear YCCS Sullivan House campus, on behalf of the students and staff at Sullivan House, we wanted to express our heartfelt gratitude. Sullivan House is dedicated to fostering an environment that nurtures both academic excellence and personal growth for everyone that walks through the doors. Thank you, YCCS Sullivan House, for your commitment to ensure every student that has the resources and support needed to thrive by giving us great teachers and staff. The school's general care for our well-being, Sullivan House has created a warm, inclusive community where we felt heard and valued. We are forever grateful for the opportunities the school has provided, from everything from extracurricular activities that allows the students opportunities to explore their passion, to exceptional staff who challenged us and inspired us daily. The life lessons we'll have learned within the walls will be with us long after graduation. As we transition to life after graduation, we will carry the values instilled by the entire Sullivan House community. The lessons we have learned and the experience we had all have shaped us into the people we are today. YCCL Sullivan House has left an indelible mark on countless lives. Sincerely, the students of Sullivan House.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for having us. My name is David Piper, and I am the principal of Association House High School. Association House has a 125-year history, but I'm not going to get into that. I'm going to get into about 2 years of history. 2 years ago, on June 22nd, 2022, many staff, students, and alumni traveled to the Chicago Board of Education to provide commentary on what was happening at Youth Connection Charter School, Association House. Association House High School had announced layoffs of roughly 1/3 of its staff in response to a corresponding 1/3 decline in student enrollment that severely impacted the school's upcoming funding based on the student-based budget funding it received. The students, both current and former, pointed to the unique educational mission of Association House High School. They highlighted the intense wraparound supports, small class sizes, restorative practices that they received from Association House. These students felt compelled to advocate on behalf of the school. From their experience, they had never been provided the employment, behavioral, post-secondary, academic, trauma support, all holistically in one setting. Staff spoke too. They passionately pleaded for additional support to continue to provide the high-level support for the most vulnerable students in Humboldt Park. The board chair, Miguel DeValle, felt compelled to add his own commentary at that hearing. He mentioned that Association House was founded partly by his effort many years previously. He indicated that he was aware of the great work happening at Association House, but wondered why more students weren't receiving the service. He opined that there's many at-risk, high-need students in Humboldt Park that could benefit from the service. Why was the enrollment declining at Association House? Well, life has returned to routine from the pandemic, but the students have not returned. There is still capacity at Association House to serve students. As Chicago begins to focus on equity in education and neighborhoods look to stabilize by providing community-based support to those at risk and vulnerable youth, now is the time to capitalize on this moment. Now is the time to look to Association House, Alternative Schools Network, Youth Connection Charter Schools as the foundation to strengthen Chicago's communities. We need to remove barriers to enrollment, referrals, and transfers to YCCS. We need to ensure that alternative schools with decades of success are supported as a model for students and not as a last resort, not as a transfer to be avoided, not as a competitor in the market, because truly the students we serve, if left behind or not supported, will only cycle back to the community with negative outcomes. And we've seen it all too often. There are 27,000 reasons that these schools are a model for success. I had one of them with me here today, and there's many more. We need to support Youth Connection Charter Schools. Thank you.
Good morning, beautiful people.
Good morning.
My name is James Hendricks. I'm here on behalf of YCCS Sullivan House. Okay, I graduated from Sullivan House in 2003. I currently work there, trying to spread the good word that Sullivan House has. All right, so this is the thing. Sullivan House is really a family. It's real family. Like I said, I went there and I went with a lot of people. And now I'm actually there mentoring their kids. I mean, it's a real full circle moment. It's not a single person in Sullivan House who go there that doesn't feel a family feel. And that's probably the biggest thing that's missing in most of these schools. Education, all that. And when they say alternative, it don't necessarily mean bad. Maybe some people got problems with speaking in public. Maybe they just don't like being around people. Sullivan House always meet the kids wherever they need to be. Rather it's getting them bus cards, helping them, like now, it's prom season. We got kids, we helping them with their prom, getting their clothes together, getting graduation together. It's just a simple, man, it ain't simple at all, but it's everything. It's everything. And I can definitely say I wouldn't be where I am without my school.
Good morning. My name is Kamaya Smith. I'm 19 and currently attending Innovation High School. What I can say about the YCCS community is that I came a long way. It helped me on my way in my journey. Me being a 2-time brain cancer survivor, it really helped me on my way. And far as experience go, it helped me learn more about myself and make friends that I would never met if I didn't go to these schools and alternative schools. I had more opportunities for certificates. I am a certified barber. It did a lot in my life to where is that I'm in my life right now. I am currently a student and a college student. It helped me. And I can really say that now I am a graduate of 2024. And I will be attending a IRS internship job.
Good morning. My name is Shandania Denton. I'm currently a senior at Innovations High School. I graduate in June. I would like to thank Innovations in particular for giving me the second chance, believing in me when nobody else did. And like we really a family. And our school motto is higher standards. And they definitely push us to higher standards. It's a lot of opportunities, a lot of resources. I just want to say thank you. Thank you, Mr. Jackson.
For the record, I want to acknowledge Chairman Rodriguez, who is an honorable member. Alderperson Fuentes, can you go ahead? Thank you.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Well, first, I want to thank every young person that came to this hearing today. So can we please give the young people a round of applause? And to all of our educators and school leaders and district leaders, I want to thank you for organizing for today. It was a very short turnaround, and your ability to fill a room, I am always in awe and impressed. For the young people in the room, my name is Jessie Fuentes, and I am the older person of the 26th Ward. And I am a proud graduate of Alternative Schools Network and Youth Connection Charter Schools. I am a graduate of a YCCS school called Dr. Pedro Albizu Campos Puerto Rican High School in Humboldt Park, a school after graduating that I had the privilege to return to as the Dean of Student Affairs, now led by the great giant Dr. Melissa Lewis. I was 16 years old when I was expelled from Carl Schurz High School for getting into a school fight with a peer who called my mom a crackhead, poking fun at her addiction. The addiction I had to suffer with for most of my childhood. I also had a father to spend an overwhelming majority of my life in and out of prison. Going to school wasn't fun. Being a learner wasn't exciting. And going into an academic institution in which I was constantly criminalized for my zip code and the color of my skin made it all the more daunting to want to even graduate. It wasn't until I walked into a YCCS school that had no metal detectors, had no armed police officers, it had a mentor at the door. His name was Carlos Contreras. And the first thing that he told me was, when you walk through these doors, you are going to be treated like the full human being that you are. And you will always be welcomed here. And it was for the first time that I felt excited to learn. It was at that school I learned about my Puerto Ricanness, where I learned how to take care of myself and grapple with the historical and generational trauma of my family, where I learned how to be a restorative justice practitioner and be a peace circle leader, where I learned how to stop violence in our communities and intervene in gang tension, where I learned the importance of building a community. Often, success is defined by graduating from school and leaving the place that you were born and grew up in. Albizu Campos taught me you go back and you transform that community for future generations to come. It is because of a place like Albizu Campos I became politicized enough to have the courage to run for office. I am probably the first and the only graduate of YCCS to be elected to city council. But that possibility was given to me by that unique space. You see, Alternative Schools Network and YCCS married in their vision to support young people that have often been pushed out or dropped out of traditional spaces has been a legacy of over 50 years of saving young people. What we are talking about today is not a charter system that seeks to compete with Chicago public schools and take students that are succeeding in those places, but rather to educate, to wrap around, and to love on the students that did not reap the benefits of our traditional schools in the city of Chicago. You see, schools like Albizu, CCA, Association House, Olive Harvey, Innovations are all schools that look at a young person like me and see everything that's right with them and not the things that are wrong with them. We have too many systems in the city of Chicago that continue to discuss, poke, and exacerbate the limitations of young people in the city of Chicago rather than celebrating all that they have to offer. Today, we're going to learn about all of the great things that both Youth Connection Charter Schools and Alternative Schools Network have to offer. But we're also going to talk about the reality. How many young people are out of school today? How many young people didn't return after COVID? Better yet, how many young people didn't return after school closures? How many young people are left unemployed? How does that impact the community safety in the city of Chicago? And what role does YCCS and ASN have to play in assisting us in building a better and safer Chicago? So I want to thank Jack Weiss, Executive Director of Alternative Schools Network, and Sheila Benson, who heads YCCS, for their vision, their hard work, and today their expertise and their testimony. Thank you all for being here today.
Chairwoman Cruz.
I also want to say some kind words to all of you. Thank you for being here and, hearing all this powerful stories is the fuel that we need us as elected officials to keep going and, bringing those things that is needed. But I also want to say that my husband graduated from an alternative school. And what I'm hearing today with all of you, what I'm hearing from my husband is the alternative schools did not give up on you. Instead, they locked arms with you and say, walk with us, but we're going to walk at your pace. We're going to meet you where you're at, and then we're going to take it from there, giving you the education that you need, but also the understanding and not setting standards that might be too high or may not be where you're at. And I think that's what Alternative Schools is doing for all of you, has done for my husband. And I can thank enough Maria Antonia Pantoja, which was a school he graduated from, to give him that opportunity. We all make mistakes. And I always tell people, as adults, sometimes we forget what are the actions that we took when we were young. And we have sometimes some of the most highest standards for youth, but however, we're forgetting what we came from. What are some of the mistakes that we did? What are some of the good decisions we did? Let's take the time to reflect that, and how do we change things for all of you? We need all of you to continue to doing that. There's so many powerful stories here, not only with my colleague, which speaks volumes of the dedication, the work she had. So I just want to say thank you for taking the time, and how do, we all work together to make sure that alternative schools keep thriving, I rather say, to make sure that we have more students impacted by the changes that the schools do. So I just wanted to say that you all look great. I love the smiles. I love those seniors graduating this year, but thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairman. I would be remiss also if I did not say anything. Of course, I've been supporting these organizations for a long time, and I've had the pleasure of speaking at several of their graduations on many occasions, and I'm always inspired, especially when I see the parents that come to the graduations, who come to graduations for a child who they thought wasn't going to make it, who have turned it around, whether it be because maybe they were in trouble with the law, or maybe they couldn't go to a certain school because some guys was after them, or maybe they got pregnant and had a child and had to start all over. These presidents are so inspired, so happy when they see their kids graduate from high school, get a high school diploma, not a GED, get a high school diploma, and they walk across that stage in their gowns, and they are so proud themselves. And every time I go, I'm just so inspired after I leave. This is like, I mean, this organization to me is just like church, right? They saving lives. You all literally save lives. And those young people end up letting their friends know, hey man, if you can't make it over there, you can make it over here. So this is a great organization to give young people another opportunity to get it right. And they need all of the support that they can get, and they do not have enough resources. I know that because I know one of my schools always asking for stuff. So and he always asks for stuff. But but they need more resources. And these are the kids I shouldn't say kids, but these are the young people that a lot of other folks give up on, right? And what kind of society would we be if we gave up on all of our young people because they may be a little different, or they may do things on their own time, right? Everybody learn differently. This organization do not give up on them. We need to give them all of the support, all of the help that we can give them, because it helps to save not only these young people, but it helps to make our society a better place. So I support you 100%. Congratulations.
Sheila Vinson, the director of YCCS for the past 27 years. Let me just follow up on Jack's point. He mentioned the problems with enrollment. So let me just say, we're in danger of closing in 2 years. Bottom line, we're in danger of closing schools in 2 years. That is because CPS has made a policy that prohibits high schools from referring students to the so-called option schools. They want all the referrals to go through the district office, and then they make placement. So we've gone from 4,000 kids down to 2,600 kids. Bottom line of the story, we can't continue on that number. We ain't no problem with, recruiting kids. We do have a problem when CPS creates these obstacles to the enrollment. CPS thinks that they can bring the programming that we do back into the schools, that the high schools can do their own alternative schools. I doubt if that's true, but by the time they figure that out, we may be gone. So I need to say that. And as a community of schools, we have said that we cannot continue under the current conditions with CPS. So like the enrollments, that's one thing. I mean, we get paid on, we're still student-based budgeting, whatever they want to call it, it's still student-based budget. So you get paid on the basis of the number of students that you have. The second issue with that Jack alluded to was this. We've been doing this work for a very, very long time. We are the best practice. We've been on it for 50 years. This is all we do. And you heard from the kids, and you heard from the alumni, and we graduated 27,000 kids. We are the experts. CBS is now trying to tell us what to do. Change the programming. They're trying to evaluate us based on their practices. Their practices have already failed these kids. And we've already proven, and I don't know how much more proof we need. Under 27 years, nobody thought we were going to make it this far. We've been a level one school. Every school is level one for 15 years since they had these evaluations. So I'm not sure we don't want to do CPS's best practices. We need to do what we do. So we're pushing back on that. Now I know that charter is a bad word. It's a dirty word these days. But we are not the ordinary charter. We were started, YCCS is just a vehicle. It's a vehicle for these schools, these now 17 schools that's under this umbrella, right? To have funding and to have the services that they have. Bottom line, period. We're different. These schools have worked together. This is Black and Latino schools, white schools, have worked together for the past 50 years. You won't see that anywhere. It's not just a funding arrangement. We actually collaborate. We actually work together. We actually learn. We actually teach each other. We actually improve. We actually innovate. We do that. And the thing is that we're not like the other charters because we're homegrown. These schools started in 1975 by some of the people in this room. They started from community, from a community need. There was no CPS funding. There was no public funding at that time. These were people, these were pioneers that got out there and did the work and made it happen. We're a safety net in the community for people coming out of corrections, for students coming out of corrections, for students that are ward to the state, for students that are homeless. We're a safety net. We're just not only a school. We're a safety net in these communities. So, with that, I've been doing this now 45 years. I don't think I started thinking I was going to be here all this time and do this work, but here I am, and I'm going to retire soon. And it's time for us to pass the baton to younger folks coming up and to try to maintain the system. But here's the thing: we work too hard for too long to have CPS destroy what we've built.
So I will start off by saying there are literally 5,000 young people that never returned from the school closing in 2015. I would know because my children attend what they call the welcoming school. And so a lot of those young people never returned, and we never looked for those young people. But I'll even go further back. My son was a Dunbar Vocational School football player. He got hurt and he broke his arm and could no longer play. And he got depressed being in school and he started to get in trouble. And so I had to turn to the alternative school network. It was something that I knew nothing about. It wasn't actually something that I kind of believed in. My son today will be 34 in 2 weeks. He's married with 2 children. So I know what alternative schools do. You didn't come here to convince me. I lived that life, and we got to get to a place where we need to figure out if it's state law that we go change, because I don't know if this happens on the city level when it comes to the rules, because I agree. If young people wanted to go to school 5 days a week for 8 hours, they would stay in traditional public school, and that's what young people are not doing. Right. Another issue that we have is these young people who are out committing crimes and trouble are not in schools. Let's be honest. Yeah. If you go look at the juvenile detention center, those students look like the majority of me and my coworkers, and they come from the South and West Side. That's a problem. And so this is not us. This ain't no I hate CPS, because I am the poster child. Me and my family, or why not to deal with Chicago public schools. But I get up every day and say they have an opportunity to make a difference. I had a child in alternative school. I had a child in therapeutic day school. I put a child in Smile School. So it ain't nothing you can tell me about Chicago Bird School. I've been there for Barbara Bird Bennett. I've been there for John Claude Brazard. I was there for Craig Chico. I've seen them all. Been there, done that. And what stays consistent is these young people that we have to help and protect. And to the young people in the room, your generation ain't lost, it's been neglected. You got every right to be mad and upset and pissed at the adults in the room. But give us an opportunity to fix what we broke. Alderman Hall.
Good afternoon. No, good morning, still for 4 more minutes. But needless to say, first of all, I just want to say that movements like this is what makes the world better. Maybe about 6-7 months ago, I come out of church and it's this gentleman who's about 5'9", close to 6 foot, and he says, "Are you William Hall?" And I said, "Yes." And he said to me, "Your father taught me how to read." And my father spent 43 years in education. And before this was a movement of such, his alternative approach to dealing with kids with love and respect and educating them made life better for so many people. About a month ago, another gentleman shows up in my church and he says to me that your father is what kept me out of the streets. And I was shocked, but not surprised, because an alternative approach is what we always need because everybody is different. The danger is that difference is looked at as deficient in education, rather than difference as a means to discover ways to serve kids who are simply just different. And the difference is not a deficiency, oftentimes it's misunderstanding. And so I just want to say to every young person that was labeled as different, you're not deficient. You're just discovering things that other people just don't have the courage to discover. And so making space for your difference, for you to discover what it is that your purpose is in life, is the reason why we're here and the reason why we support you. Is because difference is not deficient. Again, and we're grateful that you're different enough, so much to the point that you're so different, you came down to city council and spoke better than some grown folks in council. That's just how different you are. And so I'm grateful for this opportunity. Jack, you presented a case, not necessarily in a legal defense, but you presented a moral case to make sure that every child in the city of Chicago that's labeled as different is not treated as a deficiency, but treated with dignity. And so I'm grateful for Bishop Banks being another one who's an advocate for making space for children that are different. John Scott, the community never sleeps. Pastor Hunter, these are the 3 who I know personally have fought hard alongside you to make space for children that are labeled as deficient. And so thank you for your courage, and your difference is what's going to make the world go around. So God bless y'all. I got to go to another committee meeting. God bless you.
Alderman Chico.
Can you hear me?
Mhm.
I just want to share a brief story in my life and why this is important to me. Upon graduating college, I worked at a children's shelter, and these youth were looking for placement within the DCFS system. And many of the children I dealt with at the shelter went to alternative schools. And it got me reflecting. It got me thinking about what was going on in their life and how unfair their life was. at that moment. And I started looking in more to the services provided and what was being done. And that's where I became open-minded. And that's where I saw the work and how important it was, because we never know what a child's going through. And there has to be another route, a non-traditional route. So thank you. Thank you for coming before us. And thank you for sharing this. It's the young lady right there. I see your big smile. I see you nodding your head. And I just want to let you know I see it. I'm appreciative of you. So thank you, guys.
Thank you. Chairman Rodriguez.
When the city did a study with the University of Chicago, students who worked 7 weeks in a program, summer program, going out, they followed them for 17 months. Their violent crime dropped nearly in half, 43%. And so that's why, we're working at the state level, Leader Sims and Rep Buckner and Rep Slaughter and all them, to get much more money to get kids the experience of working in a community and get some money in their pocket and do it the next summer. And it will lower the violence in the city. It really will.
Well, I'm going to echo a lot of what my colleagues have already said. I want to thank all of you in this room who have made this possible for students for as long as you have, and fighting the fight with all of the odds against you and every barrier that's been put before you. I just kept thinking the two words that kept ringing in my head as all of you were talking was adaptability and resilience. Nothing's going to keep you down. I have faith in that. I had YCLA in my ward for a time when I was first appointed, and then the remap put it in the 25th ward. But I did have the great fortune of meeting a number of students from that school, and I will say absolutely that the students were so impressive. The students were articulate. They asked questions, in terms of just being so committed to their own educational process. And you have my support 100% on this. We can't keep thinking that there's a one size fits all for everybody. And as much as we talk about meeting people where they are, we need to have that borne out in our actions, and actions means funding. How many students do you have today? Approximately?
You just stole my thunder.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Well, I'm sorry, what was that? 2,600, did you say? And what do you have the capacity for? 4,000? That's just what you have the capacity for today. I know Jack, you were talking about, there's room for another 25 small schools. I think that, I'd like to join you for that trip downstate, Chairwoman, because I think this is something that we all have an interest in. I'm not a member of the Black Caucus, but I'm Black Caucus friendly.
You're the chair of the Women's Caucus.
I am the chair of the Women's Caucus, and this is an important women's issue too. I've heard so many amazing women speak today about the experience that they had as students and how that changed their lives, and how now they are now giving back and working for these schools. The other thing that resonated more than anything than adaptability and resiliency is the family that you've created. The family that you've offered to all of the students who may not have had a stable family situation, for whatever their circumstances, where they found a home in your school system. I appreciate that. And I think, we need to go with what works. And if it's not broke, don't fix it. Let's help build it more.
Yep.
And I'll just be very brief, because I really just want to commend all of you for the work that you do. I was so proud a little earlier when I was in here doing public comment, and then when our witnesses spoke as well, of the success stories. And those success stories would not have been possible without love. And I think love serves as the foundation of the reason why we've had so many young adults that are current students and those that are alum that spoke here today. And so I thank you for your time, your commitment, your efforts, your sacrifice to make sure that young folks in this city have opportunities and have a thriving or chance to thrive. Jack, so I really just had one question, because most folks that know me know I'm from Virginia. And so I was not familiar with alternative school networks for quite a while, even after I moved here. So if I could ask, how long have has the network of schools been in existence?
We just had our 50th anniversary,
Okay.
and I joked and I said I'm only 58, so I started when I was 8 years old. You know, we've worked at it since 1973 and helped get resources, sharing and partnering, and learning from each other, and then working on policy and legislation so the right stuff happens and supports the kids.
Right. So, and I just want you to know that you have an ally
Yeah,
with me, and
Great.
anything you need, please let me know, because I think, you know, having a strong education helps to build that strong foundation that you're later going to have to look on and stand on
Yep.
in your future. So if I could just say one thing very quickly as far as the Alternative School Network, nothing negative, because I think you guys are doing a great job. When I was a young, and I'll briefly tell a story before I get to the point, and it'll be very brief. When I was young, 18, 17, I always had heard that the Marines only accepted those that were being sent there by the judge, and you had to be uneducated to join the Marine Corps. That was common.
Yeah.
In fact, judges did send you to the Marine Corps if you got in trouble. But once I joined, and I scored very high on the ASVAB test, but I wanted to join the Marines. But once I joined, I can tell you I'm 58 years old today, and I'm very proud to have served 10 years in the Marines. And every Marine I know are proud of their service in the Marine Corps, no matter what the reputation was. I often talk about Virginia, and I'm just giving a couple examples. And I brag about our motto. It's the only motto that's cool. Virginia's for lovers. That's our motto. I say those couple things because when I became alderman, I knew that economic development had to stand at the forefront of a thriving community. But what never transitioned in my mind until a little later is that community development is just equally important. And community development is essentially a person becoming very proud of where they live. You hear a lot of negative things about Austin, about Inglewood, and some of our communities that have challenges at times. But my goal was to not only to help produce a board that could be economically development, but where one could be developed in the community as well, where we change folks' mind about being proud to be an Austinite, to change their mind about how proud they are to live. And the same thing about alternative schools. And that's why I gave those three examples, because when I first learned of what an alternative school was, it was a negative thing that was said about it. And so we're having students come into an environment to say, hey, what school are you from? Well, I'm from an alternative school. You're from an alternative school. And if there's one thing I could change, I would love to change, is to take that word away. And let's call it something to where they could be proud of where they go to school, because they are already faced with challenges. They're already dealing with peer pressure to say, you go to an alternative school, or you go to this kind of school, you go to that kind of school. Let's build them up from the very beginning to help them have the education to where they can thrive while being there. And somewhere where they can say, you know what, I'm proud to go to this school. Or I'm proud to go to that school. So if I could change one thing, and it wouldn't be the heart and the commitment of all the folks here, it would be that let's start giving these students that are thriving and that are doing well. And I don't want to take that away from them, but let's give them a better foundation to build on and say, we're proud to be where we are. And we're going to make the best of where we are. And I think you'll start having a lot more success stories. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Chairwoman Coleman.
Thank you, Madam Chairman Taylor. To Director Vinson, I've noticed Olive Harvey Middle College, Truman Middle College. Have you ever considered a Kennedy King Middle College?
There used to be a school in Kennedy King. It was called Benjamin E. Mays.
Really?
Yeah. And they closed sometime in like 2002, 2003, somewhere around there. But the middle college concept is a good concept.
It's an excellent concept.
And the thing about being around for so long is that you have like institutional memory, and I do. So people at city colleges doesn't even, don't the new don't have that history, right? I'm not even sure they understand what a Miller College is. But there was a Miller College there, and it was a good Miller College too, right? Uh, you should push for one. You should push for a Miller College, and you should push for it.
Well, I see Jamel Chambers is back there, hopefully sending an email. Because Inglewood STEM is our only neighborhood school in Inglewood. We have Johnson Prep. What's the other one?
You know, one
Noble.
of the good things about the Miller
Noble.
colleges is this. At Truman and Olive Harvey, those kids can take the college classes, and if they're doing those certification programs like they have like at Olive Harvey, a lot of kids are enrolled in there as part of the instructional day. So it's not after the instructional day, it's during the instructional day. So so it's a part of their education. And we moved to a competency-based education system so that we're focused on skills. So that makes that possible where the students can learn skills, but at the same time, they could learn vocational things or career things or other kinds of topics that they may want to do. So that allows for the, flexibility, and also that, we only have kids for like 18 months. So we have to do a lot
Absolutely.
in that 18 months. So we have to make that time count. And so that's one of our like innovations. So you should ask them. We would love to support that.
I'm going to publicly ask both you and Chairwoman Taylor if we can engage and see if we can have this same opportunity for the Greater Inglewood community. I just wanted to acknowledge also the principal of Progressive Leadership Academy, which is Principal Dion Kirksey.
She's out sick. She's out sick, but she did send students or the students.
Yes. And they have been so consistent and was at the last hearing. And she's a member of the First Finest and Best organization, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. But the work that she has done in the Parkway Garden O Block, Opportunity Block is just remarkable. So I wanted to publicly acknowledge her. And because Director Vincent and also Dr. Sampson, I know you all not only just have the institutional knowledge, but it takes all of us together. So I wanted to acknowledge Pastor Marvin Hunter, who's the only representative from the faith-based community who's here from the mighty, mighty West Side. Because we understand that it takes our faith-based community, it takes our elected officials, it takes government, and it takes each and every one of you in education, and also Mr. John Scott. So God bless you.
Minister Banks.
Oh, I'm sorry, and Minister Banks. Is that Johnny Banks? A knock at midnight, Johnny Banks? Oh my goodness. My first internship was at a knock at midnight on 69th Street. So I did not recognize you. Pastor Banks. Good to see you. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
So I first and foremost want to thank everybody in the room for coming to have this conversation. It's long overdue, and we don't change our circumstances for our young people when we as adults don't work together. So I want to thank every last one of you. I will say I was the person who used to cuss CPS out on a consistent basis, even when it came to city council before I got here. Vice Mayor Burnett, I told him I was gonna put him in the trunk of the car because he wouldn't help out on some stuff we doing. I said it. I don't back down from it. But young people, I had my first baby when I was 14, and I was counted out. I'm Alderwoman Taylor, and you couldn't have told me back then that that's what I was gonna be. And so, don't let this system ever count you out. I got 5 kids. My oldest is 33. My baby is 19. Everybody then graduated out of high school. I did everything that they said I wasn't gonna do. But you know what I did? I utilized the people that I have in my space. So all of these doctors and principals and mentors that you have, utilize them. You cannot make it in this world by yourself. My chief of staff is 23 years old. She's the youngest chief of staff in the city of Chicago history. And she got there because she listened. And she utilized the people. Now, when I first met her, I was like, Lord have mercy, this child is something else. But I didn't give up on her. She kept in my ear. And young people, hold us accountable. Y'all got to talk to us. Y'all got to tell us. I don't got Snapchat because I don't know how to use it. And I'm on TikTok only for laughs. You all have to teach us what you need and how do we support you and what you're doing. You got somebody from Chicago Public Schools in office. You got somebody from the mayor's office. The mayor's office has been going around to high schools to ask the question about what type of support do you need? How do we support you and what are your goals? He'll be to the Alternative School Network and make sure you tell them. Do not miss the opportunity when you're in the room with folks who got money and who got power to make sure that they uplift you and help you get where you need. With no further business upon the committee, can I get a motion to adjourn? I did the Rule 45 already. This Miss 23 years old who always telling me what to do. Okay, I get a motion to adjourn. So move. Can I get a second? No objections. The meeting for the Committee on Education and Development is now adjourned. You all have a good day. Thank you.